What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the class. Today we have a different kind of video coming at you guys. It's going to be revolving around a lot of the recent changes in GAC. For those of you guys who do not know, this happened recently, and this isn't going to be a reaction post or anything that's going to dive into the schematics of this or what my opinion on is in it. There are some slightly controversial things specifically for the lower divisions, but I believe those will get worked out. But basically the TLDR and the purpose of this video is anyone who is currently in Division 1, which is like 4 million, 4.5 million and up, is going to need more teams. And that drastically changes what GAC is going to look like for most players, including myself. So that being said, I took some time to kind of reorganize my teams, to consider a lot of different teams, and to see really who from the junior varsity lineup is getting bumped up and who still isn't quite good enough. And I'll go into the reasons for all that, both on the teams that are just good enough and the teams that just quite didn't make the cut, still even needing more teams. So just to say it, I am at 5.3 million, which means I am getting put back to Division 4, which is okay. And it says here that I'm going to need a total of 3 more squads. However, Division 4 currently needs 1 less squad. Pretty much math. I need 2 extra squads on defense, meaning that I need 4 extra squads total. So that being said, we have this tab over here that'll show you guys kind of where I'm at right now. And that being said, the teams that you're currently looking at, these are the teams that I'm already using. So we're gonna look at about 8 or 9 different teams. And if you're ever like, oh, why didn't this team get bumped up? Because it was already really good. I'm already using it. It's already a thing. So that's these teams here. These are the teams that I've been using. If any of you guys watch my videos, that's why they're there. If you have any questions on these teams, feel free to put in the comments, because I'm not gonna explain why these teams are good. If you want to know why Gear 11 Troopers are here over some other teams, please feel free to comment. I would gladly respond to that. But for the most part, most of these teams are pretty killer, at least for my range where I'm at, having 2 Galactic Legends, having an account that is 5.3 million GP. The only one thing I do want to note is the Mandalorian team that you guys see here. This isn't actually the team I'm going to be running. The Mandalorian is in a place for Bando. I do plan on using Bando in that team, and that is a team that I was going to put into my 5v5 mix, regardless of the changes. So that's not a team that I'm currently using, but that's a team that I was going to use that is better or more useful overall, if you will. So those are those teams, but the teams I really want to talk about are the good garbage teams. Now, please don't get upset with me for the good garbage teams or the trash garbage teams. It's just the name I went with. All of these teams were considered. Like, if one of the teams that you always use that they're in here, then they were at least considered. They were good enough for that. So Nest is in here. And you might be asking me, like, okay, why is Nest in here? Well, I see Calvin use Nest like every other match, or at least like once per week. It's not necessarily good garbage. The big difference about Nest right now, and I would encourage a lot of you guys who are still really in your roster building process, like really low down, working on the basics, Nest just got so much more valuable. Like, the amount of times that I was able to use Nest before this change was kind of rare. I had to look for very specific teams that either had poor modding or they left out a key unit. Now, that's not really true. With the amount of teams that people are going to be setting, I am almost always going to have a use for Nest. This is now a much more reliable team. I put Kira Lead in there too because that's generally useful. The next team you guys are going to see is the old school crew team. We're not using Hux. We're not using Lobster in this team. This is the team that I really haven't used in forever, and I'm going to start bringing back. And if you guys can see in the awesome category, we put Phasma in and the SLKR team in place of either crew or in place first order officer. And the real reason is right now, this team has been out so long that most people have already developed really good counters against it. So whatever the counter they're going to use, Phasma can generally take the place of crew. And it can even mess some up if you get her fast enough. And that's not exactly my intention. But this crew team is really good, primarily on offense, because of how many banners crew lead will get. This is not like a kill-all team, but this will beat any lower tier team, and it will beat it for really high banners just because of the massive amount of protection recovery the team just naturally gets through the way that all their kits work with crew's lead. Whenever they get buffs or debuffs, they heal themselves. Amazing team, fantastic team. Any SLKR owner or otherwise, I would encourage either splitting them up or just using this team that's on its own. The next team we hear of, this is kind of an awkward one, are Night Sisters. And the reason why it's awkward is because Night Sisters are a team that I've been using up until now. They only just recently got replaced for Bando. They're still a great team. I really would avoid putting them on defense from now on. They're just really easy to kill for high banners. But that being said, they're still going to take to town almost all the new teams that people are going to be setting down. It's really, really effective against a lot of new lineups and just a lot of teams that don't have that much survivability because they just have a massive amount of survivability. Next up are the Bounty Hunters. Bounty Hunters are going to be really, really great because they're so versatile. The only condition on them, this isn't that big of a deal, is they are just a little speed dependent. We can go ahead and look at my mods in here. They don't have to be crazy fast, but you can't have them with like plus 10s and under. Like you have to give them a decent amount of speed. You can see my boss I'm running at 270. That's about decent enough for me. That'll be enough for me to get ahead because once I get ahead with this exact lineup between Mando's turn meter gain, between the double mass assist and Danger's turn meter reduction, this team can go and go and go, and you can get, again, really high banners off against these kind of B, C level teams because of just how much banner or how much protection recovery they have that ends up equaling banners. It's a fantastic team, really, really good. It's a team that I've honestly missed using. Again, I would not recommend putting these guys on defense. Similar to the crew team or even the Night Sister team, all of these teams are old enough that most people know how to beat them for really high banners. Obviously, you have things like Imperial Troopers that are just going to smash them no matter what, but at the same time, you can only use Imperial Troopers once. So just something to consider. I will probably be using these guys on offense. And the next team we have here is actually going to be the Treya team. I'm hesitant about using this Treya team. It doesn't have to be this exact lineup, and the reason why is because it's pretty much guaranteed bad banners every single time. And I really don't like that. 55 and under is pretty much what it's going to be looking at. That being said, like, put this on defense. This team will function on defense. It's not a guaranteed win for Troopers. They can beat it, especially with my Squishy Dooku in there. But it is something that can hold, and it's going to require a pretty good team. And also going back to the opposite reasoning for my other teams, a lot of people don't really know how to beat Treya. Because Treya, for the longest time, has just been designated to a Geonosian or a Mon Mothma killer on offense, which is cool. That's great. People can do that. But at the same time, when that happened, a lot of people don't really know what beats it or what doesn't beat it. And that really works in your favor because they either A, are going to overkill it, which is awesome, or they're just going to underestimate it and get trashed by it. It's actually a team that helped me quite a few months ago, quite a lot. And the last team here is the Bad Batch. I really, really like where the Bad Batch is going. I can't say much about this team yet because we don't really have the full team nor its full functionality. But I really, really am looking forward to it. You guys have already seen that. I've already thrown all the Zetas on. I will continue to do this. They come out. I might accelerate farm them. Again, I need to see the whole team. But I highly, highly doubt that they are going to be functionally worse than every single team that is currently in the good garbage section. I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and they're an upcoming team that cannot be ignored. That being said, the one other disclaimer I should probably put in about upcoming teams, I do not have the Mandalorians in any of these topics, and that's not because they're not necessarily great. That is because I'm using the Mandalorians elsewhere. You guys can see with Bosk, I have Jango in there. With Bando and Canderous, I'm going to be using them in the Bando lineup. So it's not that they're bad, it's just that I'm choosing to use them in other teams. And now we get to the final section, the trash garbage. I am sorry if you love these teams. These teams can be good, they were considered, and they were turned down. The reason why, in these first two teams, they're kind of one way, and the last two teams are seen a different way. So these first two teams, these are teams that can be good if modded correctly on defense. I would say pre-Galactic Legend. So if you're needing to increase your teams, and you have fairly low GP, and you're not seeing a lot of Galactic Legends, these teams should do pretty well on defense. A really high potent Logray will stop most Nest solos, and that can even be a hold right there, and they can just really hold their own against a lot of other teams. They're not as useful offensively as they used to be. They used to be a really good crew killer. Ever since Hux Resistance has really squashed that, though. So they're, again, if you're pre-GL, they should be good. Karth is the same reason. When you're looking at putting like your worst level teams down on defense, it's okay if they get one shot. It's okay if they don't even steal that many banners. But one of the things you really want to stay away from for even your worst teams is you don't want people getting 64 on them. And that is Karth's primary problem, is there are too many opportunities post-Galactic Legends for characters that can get 64 banners against it. And that you just don't get anything out of that. Like a gear a Gear 10 or a Gear 9 Night Sister team that is at least going to require you to bring in a few members, that's going to get maybe a 62 or a 61, or your enemy a 62 or 61, is going to do better than this team. Just not because the team is terrible at its heart, but because of the way the synergy works against some of the characters out there that exist, like Xylo and Malik. So those are the reasoning for the top two. And the bottom two, these are teams that you can use, but they're still open to too many soloing opportunities. And a lot of people are going to be tempted to use teams like these, or even the other variants from the other Galactic Legends. Obviously, the Rolo team is an outcome of Jedi Master Luke, and the Phasma team is an outcome of Esselkara, the two Galactic Legends I have. There are other variations of these teams of kind of the same level. Zol teams could be seen this way depending on the lineup, but they don't have any good units in them. But these teams, they can be used, if you're going to use them, I would use them on offense. Again, both of these can be Nest soloed, they can be Malik soloed. Xylo might even have a shot at one of them. I know I've heard people using them against Rolo before. Not something I would recommend, but still, even the fact that that's a possibility is not great for you. So again, the trash garbage section aren't just teams that you never want to consider, but they are on the bottom totem pole that you should avoid using if you can. And if you do have to use them, take them on offense. They're not going to get great banners, but they'll at least kill a slower B team for you. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much going to be it. Please feel free to tell me all the ways that I am wrong in the comments. But this is what I do plan on doing with my roster over the next couple months, transitioning to our new GAC changes. That is going to be it for today. So as always, guys, stay awesome.